thought, oh, this could be a really interesting spin on Cujo. And then as the movie progressed, at some point it changed into a chimpanzee, and there you go. Now you have Primate.
There's someone I want you to meet. This is Ben.
My hand? He wants to shake my hand?
Yeah.
Hi, Ben.
Whenever you see an article about 47 meters down, 99% of the time they use this still from the test that we did, which is not, that's Vanessa Kirby.
The pool scene is incredible.
Thank you. Yeah. You never know with these scenes. Like, there was at no point did any of us think that it would become the scene that people talk about, not just in that movie, but people will just talk about that.
What's the scene that was most physically exhausting to shoot?
Anything in Resident Evil, because it was cold as...
I'm afraid, Claire. I'm afraid of what they're gonna do to this town. You see, Umbrella, they had an incident.
What's up, guys? My name's Joe. Welcome to the podcast. Today's interview is brought to you by FanDuel. The score and the kills are absolutely brutal in Primate.
Yeah.
Was that something intentional right from the beginning? You knew the exact style that you wanted to take it on?
No, not really. The film definitely became more brutal as it progressed. I don't think there was any thought that it wouldn't be an R-rated movie, but it definitely played around with the gore and stuff, and nobody stopped us, and we just carried on pushing and pushing as the shoot went on. So it was a really weird one where it really sort of progressed during the film. It sort of took on its own life. And then with the score, I mean, I've worked with Adrian before, and I love, I grew up watching Carpenter movies, and that's my life. Music is everything to me with films. I really, it's a passion for me. So yes, that was my initial sort of direction, but quite often when you get into the edit, then it takes on a different life of its own. But this stayed in the Carpenter world, so yeah. When
you're coming up with the idea and you have the vision for how you want it to look, do you also see how the sound design is going to live?
I can at times. I love post. I love the putting together of the movie once you've shot it. So it very often just takes on a whole different life of its own, and that's when, for me, the movie becomes the movie.
And you've gone on record saying that you've been working on this film for 12 years now.
Yeah.
Where did the idea start? What did you want?
Yeah, I think it's over 12 now. It was, I was sitting at my mum's house. I was doing a movie that I wasn't, desperately in love with. And I was sitting at my mum's house, and I was watching her dog run around. She had a swimming pool, and it was running around the swimming pool, and it just suddenly the idea came into my head of, if the pool had no shallow end and you were trying to reach the sides of the dog, every time you went there, the dog would be there, and you couldn't touch the bottom, so you had to tread water. And I was just like, oh, this is an interesting idea. And I love that kind of movie where you're having to try and think, okay, now what do I do? Oh no, it's there. I can't do that. So what next? And it just became a really fun idea. And I'm a big fan of Cujo. So I thought, oh, this could be a really interesting spin on Cujo. And then as the movie progressed, at some point it changed into a chimpanzee, and there you go. Now you have Primate.
It was such a menacing scene when he climbs over the top. They're not even safe in the center of the pool.
Yeah. Yes. Changing it to a chimpanzee really opened up that kind of, 360 terror.
Was the idea always the 1980s style horror gore theme?
Yeah. Do you know what? It's just ingrained. It's ingrained. It's never a deliberate sort of wink at an audience or anything. I grew up watching Cujo, Pet Sematary. These are my touchstones.
Right. How do you know when to show too much on screen versus letting the darkness build the tension and suspense.
It's a difficult one. And definitely when I initially approached the movie, I kept Ben much further in the shadows. But as the movie went on, I just really felt that his personality was coming across. And I felt that was giving a dimension that I'd not seen before in a movie, or hadn't seen for a long time. That kind of Freddy Krueger thing. So you keep him in the shadows, but he's menacing, but he's also he's a real personality. He isn't just Michael Myers. He isn't just sort of sitting there and coming out and saying boo. So I really felt it as I went along. Just it was gut instinct.
What's up, guys? Real quick, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The wild card round is here, and FanDuel is turning on playoff mode. All customers get a profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. Each game day during the wild card round, you'll find a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts waiting for you in the app. Pick the matchups you believe in. Take your shot on an upset or build a parlay that fits the moment. Then apply your profit boost and go after even bigger payouts while the playoffs get rolling. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. Thanks to FanDuel for sponsoring the podcast, and now back to the interview. It's so funny because when I started doing more research on the film, I realized that you also did 47 Meters Down and The Strangers, and I love those two films, and it fits the whole theme of it.
Yeah.
Do you think that you have a unique style to the horror approach?
I think you can definitely tell one of my films. I've always loved siege movies as a kid, and then obviously discovering John Carpenter is the kind of king of siege movies. And these kind of have that same kind of siege. I mean, Resident Evil is a siege movie, but the sort of single location, trapped, trying to figure out different ways of getting out. It's just something I loved. Cujo was the movie that made me want to get into be a film director. So it kind of comes from there. But I love water as well. So all the movies have water in, and there's definitely a theme going through.
With the water, is it tough filming in the pool setting, even though it's more confined?
I enjoy it. I think, I think different directors would like different things. For me, I love the look of water. I love the beauty of it and the way that the camera can glide, and the freedom that you have when you're in water, I think is great. You have to be, for me, I think you'd have to be quite immediate with it, because the water, you're just fighting so many different things that it is very hard to just go, this is what I want, this is what I want, this is what I want. And so you kind of have to go with the, it's a pun, but go with the flow. And you just, I like feeling the movie as I go along. So, yeah.
The ripples in the water itself add tension.
Beautiful. Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah, we did. I really enjoyed, I bought the cinematographer from the 47 movies down to shoot all these underwater shots of Ben, because I really just felt that would give it a real menace to see Ben, through the water, and just like I was trying to find ways to really get into the madness in his mind, and I felt that was the way that I could do that.
Now that the film's been out, how do you feel sitting with it and how audiences are reacting to it?
It's a genuine pleasure in the way that they're reacting. You can never tell. I love each and every one of my movies as my little children, and there's I've never done something I've not been proud of or don't back 100%. So you put them out, and then sometimes they're welcomed with open arms, and then sometimes they're just kicked to the ground. And it's very nice when you do a movie and you can see that your intention is 100%, what you wanted from the audience is what they're getting. And this movie, more than any other movie I've done, you watch it with an audience, it's hilarious. It's great. They really are so vocal, and you hear the screams and the groans and the laughter, and it's a really, really fun big screen experience.
You really can't look away.
Yeah.
But you want to look away, but you can't because it's so gory at times that you just have to see what's going on. And it almost felt like some of the chimp attacks were mirrored of real life chimp attacks in situations.
Yeah.
Was there any reflection from what happened with past chimps?
Yeah, for sure. I find chimps terrifying, and I definitely the reason that initially the story was about a dog, and then that had changed to a chimpanzee. The reasoning I picked a chimpanzee is all those really terrifying and horrific stories of people that keep chimpanzees as pets and then discover it's not a very good idea. So yeah, the chimpanzees are there's no, they don't go to kill, they go to maul and humiliate and disfigure, and they're really dark creatures. So
to laugh when they're ripping your face off.
Yeah. So I felt that would be a great movie villain.
My one of my favorite scenes is when he's on the bed with the boy, and there's so much tension between the two of them.
Yeah.
When you were filming that scene, is there any moments that stick out to how you were able to achieve it?
That's such an interesting scene because it was all on the page. It was a dark and scary scene, that played like a good horror beat, but it really was neither Charlie, who plays the kid, and or Miguel, who plays the chimp, had ever done anything before. So there were these two really raw, fresh actors that just had immense power. I think they're both going to go off and really do amazing things, and putting them together just made that scene electric. That what they were both able to give to it. So suddenly the tension and the humor and the slightly sexual nature, and then the really brutal ending, it just became a world of its own, that scene. I loved it. I was just like, oh yeah, this is really disturbing.
I mean, you did such a good job setting them up in the beginning oh, they're here, they're gonna get it.
Yeah.
That's such a interesting thing too for horror movies, to have that character that you just want to see get torn apart.
Yeah.
Is that, when you're writing that or when you're filming that, is that intentional to really set up to make the audience feel that?
Yeah, it's a weird one. I don't know. It's it can be annoying, when you watch a movie and you're just like, oh, this is body count. When those kids come in, that they're just gonna get it. But
They're way too cocky, way too arrogant.
Yeah. I think an audience is quite relieved, like that when that comes up, they're like, oh, we're gonna get fun now. This is like the sort of movie shifts a little in tone from like real tension and like, how do I get out, and the sort of, it's almost it's demanding of the audience quite an active role, in that they have to think with the characters. Okay, I can't do this, how do I do that, how do I get out of the pool, what if I run here, what if I try and get over there? And then when the kids come in, they're saying the movie kind of says to you, okay, sit back now. We're going to give you some really fun shit.
When you're filming like the bed scene, do you have it already tuned out in your head of what it's going to be, or do you build it out in the edit?
No, that was very structured. But where you have the structure, you have the sort of foundations, but then the actors, they really bring it to life. And then, a scene like that was very much an in-camera thing. Then sometimes you'll have a scene which becomes an edit thing. But yeah, that was quite storyboarded quite carefully, that one.
The actors did such an incredible job, because I'm sitting with my friends too, and we're trying to dissect. Is it CGI? Is that a real monkey? Is there a man in a suit? We could not tell throughout
great.
halfway through.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out, and we kind of went into the film blind without seeing much of the trailer because we want to just be surprised.
Yeah.
And it was really fun to dissect everything.
Yeah.
The scenario for the actors is pretty foreign too, because they're not used. Having a primate in someone's life like that isn't very normal.
Yeah.
How do you go about directing them to live in that world where it's part of it?
Yeah, it's a tricky thing, and I would be lying if I said it didn't worry me, up until the first time we showed it to an audience, because if the basic buy-in that this family lives with a chimpanzee is rejected by the audience, then nothing you do after that's going to work. So it was great when we, screened the movie for the first time that the audience was like, no, I get it. This makes, you're asking me to believe in this world, and we'll come along with you for it. It is a tricky one, and we had to, present this world where you believe this family would have a chimp at the house, that they are not stupid for having a chimp or irresponsible for having a chimp at the house, and that the chimp is both small enough for you to go, okay, this is not, it's not like King Kong, so okay, I could see this, but also big enough to be like, oh, okay, when it turns bad, yeah, this is terrifying.
Right, because chimps they lift like 10 times their strength or something?
Yeah, they are serious.
Do you have a favorite kill in the movie?
Yeah, 100%. My favorite is the first of the pool kills.
Off the ledge?
Yeah, off the ledge. And I absolutely love that. That was never in the movie. He was never going to die. And then a week before filming, it was just like, we've got to present that scenario. We've got to, like, if I was in the pool, one of the things I would want to do is try and push the chimp off the side of the pool. So we have to present that scenario to the audience. And then the kill came out of that. And even then, we didn't have that final moment. And it was only when I tested the movie, I was like, I need to show them. So we did a test where we drew just a picture. I got a storyboard guy to just draw the head smash. And it was so effective that I went away and shot it. And it's so rudimentarily shot. It's just if you saw it, how we actually did it, it's just like ridiculously simple. But oh my God, when that kill happens, the reaction from the audience is just wonderful. It's genuinely makes me so happy when it's a ripple that just goes through the cinema.
And it sets the tone for what's going to happen.
You really get that moment, because obviously the movie starts very grisly, but then we go back and we set the characters, and you can just feel about that time that the audience is just trying to work out what kind of movie that they're in. And then that happens, and then they're like, oh, okay, strap up, let's go.
When do you know when to put like that intro of the film, which is from later on?
Yeah.
Is that intentional from the beginning?
No, it wasn't. It had always kicked around in my head, like, oh, this is a very separate kind of thing that we're doing here. But it was, the movie was a very tricky one tonally to present to an audience, because it's actually quite a fun movie. Like, you come out of that movie like smiling, like, even though it's really intense. It's like it's a roller coaster, it's a thrill ride. But it's not it's fun, but it's not campy. It's not wink at the audience time. I'm taking it dead straight. But it's not documentary. It's not like, drama. So I needed to find a way to set the tone, to let people know what they're getting in for. I moved it up front in the edit, and it really, really helped people like, oh shit, okay, right, okay, I get it. This is an hour and a half of, non-stop kind of fun, and it allowed people to put the pieces together. It's hard. It's a really hard thing to do when you're tackling a movie that has no, no IP. People don't really. This kind of movie is not really around at the moment. It's like Ghosts, and there's a lot of other style. We had the whole Conjuring universe kind of stuff.
The world's not painted yet.
Yeah, it's not, and it's really hard to set an audience into what world you're going into. So yeah, that's a tricky thing to do.
I know this is extremely premature, but have you had any ideas for a Primate 2?
Oh, great. Many really fun discussions on that have happened.
Have you have the idea where it would live?
Yeah. I am ready to go when let's see how what the journey is. But yes, I would be surprised, honestly, if Primate 2 does not occur at some point. But yeah, let's see.
Because you're not new to sequels. You had 47 meters down, 47 meters down on Cage. Would you keep it the same? I feel like you can't answer that. Never mind.
Yeah.
Working with a shark or a human killer.
Yeah.
How different is it working with a monkey as the main menace to the film?
Yeah, this was an interesting one in that I'd initially written this sort of at the same time that I'd written the first 47 meters movie, and it has a lot of the same elements of one location, trapped water, and it sort of followed that pattern, but it was only while filming really that I started shifting it in a different way. In that, in 47, the goal is to get to the surface, and it's the ticking clock is running out of air, and you've got all the water, and then the sharks, and the sharks are just doing what sharks do. They're dangerous animals if you're within their domain, but they're not evil, and they're not bad. They're just dangerous animals, and this then became so they're almost a background threat, whereas this became different. This became this guy's a little shit. He's thinking about how he's killing them, and so it became about his personality. So that was the difference between like doing a standard kind of what you would call a creature feature, and this is he is almost human. He's diabolical. He's a menace. He's like, very sentient creature.
When you're figuring out all the different kills, I feel like Primate did such a good job of having variety to them, where other films might be a little still like same universe as the kill.
Yeah.
Did you feel like anything might be too gory for the film that you had to tone it down? Because the chimp kills are very intense.
They're very brutal. No, I think it was just one of those things that we just ramped up. we shot the opening a couple of times in different ways, and each time we'd get gorier with that. And then
The opening of each kill?
no, the opening kill in the movie.
Oh, in his cage.
Yeah, that had been shot a couple of times, and really just started pushing that harder and harder, and then everything else just sort of ramped up and up. It's one of those things you just don't think a studio will let you do that, and once they do, you just go, okay, well, until someone stops me, I'm gonna just go. So yeah, it never seemed to be an issue. It just we were just left to our devices, and it was like, okay, well then let's do this then,
Is there a challenge when you're filming in single locations that the audience might not be aware of? How do you make that so entertaining for people?
Yeah, it's there's a skill to it. For me, it's always you have to demark the different locations in different ways. Light, it's always light, and the scenes then become different lighting scenes. There's the fire, and then there's the TV that's crackling, and then you have the beauty of the water, and these are different, like, little locations within the one location kind of thing. So that tends to become the way that you deal with it, and then smaller things become huge mountains. Like just getting up a staircase is a massive deal, So it just shrinks everything and means just the small things become big things. But yeah, it's fun. I never meant to, as a director, sort of be the guy that does the one location thing, but it has been that, like, my last 5 movies have all been that, or 6 movies, I think.
Do you go with intentions of shock versus scare for scenes, or do you figure that out in the edit when you're piecing it together?
Yeah, I love eliciting a reaction from an audience. I'm like, I have 2 younger sisters, and I used to love always kind of scaring, jumping. I have a daughter, I do the same. And think of me like that. I just love having fun with an audience and trying to take them on a really fun ride. So it's, you just have to balance that out. You can't keep jump scaring. You can't keep gore, throwing horrific things in their face before it sort of, they become immune to it. So you just have to sort of balance it out and work out the best way to get your reaction.
And you do that with such incredible locations, because I never want to go shark diving.
Yeah.
I never want to go to a fairground at night by myself, because strangers is terrifying.
Yeah.
And now even the thought of just being around a chimp thinking that it's going to get out is going to live with me for forever.
Yeah. But, well, of all those, I would definitely say being around a chimpanzee is probably the wisest no that I can think of. On
The Stranger's Prey at Night, when people were filming, if they were told that a sound would come from there, you would have a sound come from a different direction?
In terms of
like disorienting them for the scare?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, there's loads of tricks that you can do to try and, make people totally wrong-footed. I mean, for me, it's the simplest of jumps, but in Strangers, where she's in the playground tunnel, and the car's coming at her, so we're all concentrating on this car coming at her, and then you do the profile shot, and the stranger comes out there. I remember the first time I saw that with an audience, and they just leaped out of their chairs, and it's brilliant. It's a wonderful thing. So yeah, the job is always to yeah, make people make them tense and scared, and then just pull something out of a different place than they think, and you can get a great reaction.
You seem like you really love that part of showing the film off to people.
Yeah, I do. I think the first moment that I really, really appreciated it was the first 47 meters down, where we screened that, and then it was at the Westwood Cinema, so it's like 2,000 people. It was a big screen, big audience, and they're doing the flare thing. It's all dark, and she puts on the flare, and then the flare lights up, and it's the most preposterous shot. It makes absolutely zero sense, but you have 3 sharks around her, all static, all with their mouths open. And sharks don't just stay still like that. I mean, it's a ridiculous shot. But, oh my God, to hear 2,000 people scream at one point was just like the most magical thing. And yeah, so it's that to try and get a reaction like that, is a wonderful thing. You only need one of those real pure ones per movie, but if you can get it, it's a really hard thing to do, but if you can get it, it's great.
In 47 meters down, at 26 minutes in is when the cage drops.
Yeah.
Is that the point where you've built up enough to let people know that shit's about to get heavy?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I didn't know that was the timing of it. Yeah, it's those movies are odd because they're weirdly untraditional in that I'm not a massive fan of cold opens. We do one in Primate, and I do it very specifically because I felt tonally I needed to set people early. But this kind of cold open kill, quite often I find really annoying. And so with the 47 movies, I never do them. You just meet the characters, and there's no kind of terror beforehand. And it's a tricky thing to do with a horror movie because people really want the kills, sort of up front, and to have 26 minutes before the horror starts is a long time. But what we do there with that one is before that you have the awe of the sharks going around, so that buys you a bit longer that you see these sharks go around the cage and that shit's gonna go bad. So that buys you a bit longer. But it is a tricky one, the balance. Like people, I'm amazed how quickly people get like, oh, this is so long and boring. And it's like, guys, like, I mean, it's only 10 minutes, you've got to do something. But yeah, people can get very fidgety very quickly.
I was so surprised that 47 meters down was a budget of just $5 million. You did incredible stuff on that.
Yeah, less than 5.
Oh, really?
I think maybe that's what they say now, but we had nothing. We had nothing for that movie.
Is majority of that spent on the CGI?
I don't know quite what was allocated where, but in fact, the Duncan who runs Outposts, he's a really good guy. He just, he cannot have made any money on that movie, which is how we, got such great effects. He really took that as being his, this will be my calling card kind of thing. So, I remember Mandy Moore and Claire Holt arriving that first day on our location, and they thought we were going to be in Pinewood, and it was proper, we were in an industrial estate behind a recycling plant, and it was just grim. It was grim. So that was a tough movie.
Did you have high expectations for that when stepping into it?
No. I'd written I'd written 47 around the time I wrote Other Side of the Door. And I I always thought 47 was just I came up with the idea drunk with the producer. I shared a flat with the producer, James Harris. I was like, I want to do a shark movie. And, I pitched him as a joke, kind of pitched him the idea. And then he, unbeknownst to me, took it off and went to a sales agent and said, what do you think of this idea? And they went, you know what, I think I can sell that. So they put the money together without script. And
just on the idea.
Just on the idea, yeah.
Wow.
And then the problem was always, the issue people always had was, well, it sounds like a really good idea, but how do people speak underwater? How do you see their faces and stuff? And so we did a test with, and she's still, what I love about it is whenever you see an article about 47 meters down, 99% of the time they use this still from the test that we did, which is that's Vanessa Kirby. That she was never in the movie. She came down and she's now become a very big actress, but she was never the actress in the movie. But they use this still.
She was just the test actor?
Yeah, she was there for the test shoot.
Oh.
So we did this test shoot of Vanessa Kirby doing a safety stop, and a really bad CGI shark circling around her. And then people saw that and went, oh yeah, okay, I get it. I understand how this is going to work. And so we financed it from that. I wrote the script. It was initially 4 people, and then it was like, no, this isn't it. The real sort of turning point on that was understanding it needed to be 2 people. After I'd watched Touching the Void, which is an incredible movie, and I was like, aha, yeah, I get it. It's a 2 people thing.
And why 2 females over a couple?
I don't know. No reason. I kind of based it weirdly on the dynamics on me and my brother, and I was just like, my brother's always like, well, you're the cool one, and I'm not, but he's always in his mind, I'm out here having fun, the Hollywood dream, and
making movies.
Yeah. So yeah, I just based Mandy on my brother and me on I was Claire, and yeah, just 2 sisters. I don't know. Seem to be a more in peril kind of vibe.
Would the 4 people have been all in the cage at the same time originally?
Yeah, I did a draft of the 4 people. The problem with 4 people, it's a very difficult thing to do, is they end up bickering a lot, or you've got to try and create different characters out of the dynamics of 4 people in a one location thing. It can be really tricky. I mean, obviously we do it with Primate, but yeah, I much preferred it with the 2 people, with 47 with the 2 people. It just felt very clean. But yeah, but I I wrote that at the same time as Other Side of the Door, and I always thought Other Side of the Door was that's exactly the movie. It's Pet Sematary, it's Woman in Black. I was like, this is the movie I want to make. And then nobody really watched that movie, and 47 just became this, juggernaut.
Do you think it's a right time, right place? People craved a shark movie?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a million different things. I mean, that movie's life, the Weinsteins had it, they dumped it. Byron came out of nowhere. He'd never released a movie before, like a proper, properly as a movie before, came, said, I'll buy this, I'm going to make this my first movie out. Then Bob Weinstein sent all the DVDs, pretty much out of spite, as far as I can see, to Walmart and Target anyhow. So it was already out on DVD Byron took them out of the stores. It was pirated everywhere.
And this is when it was called In the Deep.
Yeah. It was the weirdest. Well, I thought, I was like, this movie's never going to work. Now, everybody had seen it.
It was already out in stores before it hit the theater.
People were buying copies of it and stuff. And then he just sat on it for a year and released it. Released it mid-summer. I was like, people thought it was a joke. Nobody thought that movie was going to do anything. And then it just connected. Mandy, in the meantime, had gone from being, someone who, whose career had, she had disappeared a little, to being a star again because of the TV show. And
which TV show?
This Is Us.
Yes.
It just became a thing. People just, I don't know. People just, nobody had thought about marketing to teenage girls that summer. There was the new Alien movie. There was a Pirates movie. I think there was a Transformers movie. I don't know if there was a Pirates movie. There was a Transformers movie. There was just a lot of big, bloated sequels that nobody wanted to go and see. And then you had this kind of small, punchy, really fun shark movie. And people were just like, yeah, I'm going to go and see that instead. And it made just insane money. None of which I saw. But
it doesn't fall down to you?
No.
Is that the initial contract that...
Yeah.
So who gets at the studio?
I wouldn't like to say where that, but I guess, yeah, whatever. I have, yes, yeah. But you see it then, you then get to do the sequels and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
That film's so good because it's not necessarily, there are jump scares, but it's that, like you said, there's constant layers of, are they going to get the bends? Is the cage going to drop again? Are they going to get the sharks? Is anyone going to get the tank down to them? There's so many layers of panic and stress happening in that at all times.
Yeah.
Is that something that happens when you're just figuring out the overall idea and you're like, oh, and this happens, and that causes this to happen?
Yeah, I suppose so. What the movie does differently, and we're just doing the third one.
You're doing a third 47 meter jump?
Yeah, well, we're doing a fourth as well, but we're just in post on the third one. I didn't direct it, but produced it and wrote it.
Is that 47 meters down?
It's called The Wreck.
The Wreck.
Yeah, and it's a really fun movie, but it's the world that what makes those movies really interesting and different from, creature feature shark movies is I think they really owe their sort of genesis to films like The Abyss, Leviathan, Deep Star 6. There was that period in the 80s of those underwater movies, and I'm obsessed with the bottom of the ocean and the water. So although I absolutely love sharks and obsessed by, sharks, and I think they're the most beautiful, crazy things. It wasn't Jaws I was trying to do. It was, Leviathan. And so there's that, it has a slightly different vibe. Those movies are in love with the bottom of the ocean. They're in love with how fucking scary it is. I'm a diver, and I just find it just awe-inspiring when you go down, when you're diving on a wreck or you're in a cave or whatever. It's terrifying, but it's also amazing. And those movies have that love in them, and I think that kind of crosses over to an audience. It's like, oh right, this is a kid showing us how cool it is to be underwater.
Do you know when this third one's going to come out?
I don't. I would have thought this year sometime. I'm just in post.
And then what about the fourth one? Are you in? How are you?
You have just disturbed me from finishing my writing on that.
Oh, we gotta get you out of here.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm just doing the final bits and pieces to that, and then hopefully that will film this year.
Would you want to direct that?
No, I don't think I'll do that. But I'm very hands-on on that. Much to whoever is, I they're all part of my babies.
Right.
They're,
I'm very excited for that, and I'm sure so many other people are.
Yeah.
The Strangers Pray at Night.
Yeah.
That film is a sequel to something that ends up coming out 10 years later.
Yeah.
How does it fall in your lap?
I mean, honestly, to be candid, I had done 47, done Other Side of the Door, and neither had worked. 47 hadn't come out yet, but nobody believed, although Byron had bought it off the Weinsteins, nobody believed that it was gonna do anything. So my phone wasn't ringing. I needed a job, and the guys that financed 47 Meters had got the rights to Strangers 2 because Relativity, the company, had gone bankrupt, and they'd bought the rights off them, and they loved 47 and said, look, do you want to direct this? And I read it, didn't love it.
Were you aware of the first one?
Yeah. The first one, as a whole movie, I'm on the fence, but the first 40 minutes to an hour is fucking amazing. Like the first half an hour, I think, is just genius. Like the editing of the way you find out what's happened to this couple in there. It's really rare in a movie like that to be emotionally engaged as you are, and I find that just. Yeah, I was always stunned at that, and it has some amazing stuff. I find it's too mean-spirited, the end, but I think that's Brian has a darker sensibility than I do. I'm not. I found it unpleasant, and I don't like. Although I love horror movies, I don't like them to be unpleasant. I like to feel the good guys win, or just like enjoyable kind of. You're in a movie world, and I found that a little dark. But anyhow, I read the script, wasn't crazy about it, but needed to work. And then it what happened, and it's a really interesting thing, I think, for learning lesson for me, for my career, for how I go about things, is because I wasn't emotionally invested in the script. Not saying it's a bad script, I just wasn't, I approached it in a totally different way as a director, and I just went, I'm going to do everything that I have always wanted to do and been too scared. And so when you watch that movie, it has this, for me, it's probably my favorite movie, in terms of, it's definitely the most me. Like, it is all this 70s cinema, the zoom lenses, the slow takes, the sort of build of atmosphere. I was always too, you're always worried about, what other people are going to think in terms of producers or studio or audience. I just went, fuck it, I'm just going to do what I want to do. And then the music is, that's me. That's I would spend hours and hours every day finding those tracks, and there's my real love that the music is there. And I just sort of approached the movie in such a different way than I would, with one of my own scripts, and it became something that is just, I love that whole ending where she's running from the burning car, and I've turned it into. Basically, I tried to make Christine. I love Christine, and I was like, okay, I'm going to make this movie about the truck, and you have the Air Supply music playing, and yeah, it's so much fun to watch.
The pool scene is incredible.
Thank you. Yeah. That was, you never know with these scenes. Like, there was at no point did any of us think that it would become the scene that people talk about, not just in that movie, but people will just talk about that scene. It is so weird how these things happen. We chose that location because the producer got an extra 5% rebate if we went out, and we shot in Kentucky, and this was a place, if you went even further out, you got an extra 5%. So they showed me this location, and I was like, guys, this pool is the size of, like, I could fit the whole, Ottoman Empire in that pool. What, this is not supposed to be there, but I was like, okay, I can make this work, and its scale. I think what really, for me, shifted it then is because of its scale. I remember just standing there while they were setting. It was so hard to get lights and everything too, and I you know what? I don't think it even lit up. So I think Ryan, the DP, had to had to bounce light in to give it that blue, that beautiful, beautiful blue look. And it was while we were waiting during the day, and I just stood at one end of the pool. And I'm a huge fan of Exorcist 3, the Blatty movie, and it has that amazing scare. And I was just like, I was just standing there, and I was just thinking about this zoom shot, crash zoom, and I was like, I'm gonna do that. Fuck it, I'm gonna do and for me that changed that whole sequence. Is like planning that shot, and then the whole thing kind of came together. It was, it's just but even when we finished, it wasn't like we thought, oh yeah, it was just a really good day's work. And then with a really good team, everybody, I mean, to execute that zoom shot was not an easy one. They had an amazing operator, and we had no money. So like when the camera goes underneath the water and above the water, and it goes up and down, while we didn't have any of that equipment. So the grip was just gluing the camera, underwater camera, which is a mother of a big thing, onto. I mean, how he was operating that, going up and down. You can see it shake slightly because we just didn't have the proper equipment. And even the bit at the end where the camera goes up over Lewis, who's dying, we didn't have the right equipment for that. So it's just crazy how they've managed to achieve that. But it just worked. A lot of it is Lewis Pullman is just the best actor in the world, and he sold it. He sold the realism of that scene, and then you have the beauty of Ryan's cinematography, and it is great. But yeah, you never know with these things. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't.
It's so interesting.
Yeah.
How do you preserve the mystery of the killers on that film? Because in the first one, you don't really know much about anything.
Yeah. I don't know. We just, the first half of the movie is sort of follows in the footprints of the previous movie, and then we sort of go our own way into a sort of more brighter movie. I don't know if it's the right word, but yeah, you see a little bit. You see them once, I think, or one of them. I think it's sort of set up in the first movie that it's not about who they are. It's like what they can do.
Was there ever an idea for you to do a prequel or a trilogy for that?
No. We talked about a sequel. The movie did pretty well. We did chat about a sequel. Things moved on, and now they've done
Now they're doing the rebirth ones.
Yeah.
Can I do some rapid fire with you?
Yeah.
What scares you more, deep water or a home invasion?
Deep water, but it's also cooler.
What's harder to film, underwater or masked slashers?
Underwater, probably, but both can be hard.
For building up the tension?
Yeah, underwater has its own tricky side to it, but it's beautiful. It just is. And then beautiful and intrinsically scary as well. And then mask slashers, much easier, but then can look like a guy in a mask. So,
was there a scene in Primate you thought might be too much?
No, maybe the opening. That was a tough scene. That's full puppet. That's not a guy. That's a rod operated puppet body, and that was full on. And I was like, I don't know if we're getting away with this.
Do you have a favorite scare you've ever directed?
The one in Strangers with the Pool with the crash zoom. I love that shot so much.
What's the scene that was most physically exhausting to shoot?
Anything in Resident Evil, because it was cold as fuck and it was miserable. It was dark. We had rain machines. It was cold. It was COVID. I don't know if I'm ever going to recover from that shoot.
Where was that?
It was Toronto, and outside Sudbury and Hamilton. It was miserable. That was miserable. I love the movie. I know nobody else does, but I love the movie. And I love the people I was making it with. But good grief, it was cold. Yeah.
What's the most difficult environment you've ever filmed in?
Toronto. Just COVID. Shooting in COVID it's insane.
The regulations, the rule.
Nighttime in Canada. I mean, I would come home and I'd chat to my wife and I'd be like, I was chatting for hours to someone. I don't know who they are. I don't know if they were on my movie or not. They're dressed like the Thing, and then they've got the mask and stuff. I didn't know who anybody for an entire shoot. I didn't know who anybody was.
Oh, wow.
That's weird. And as a director, it's all about face-to-face interaction and, bringing your team along. And yeah, COVID, man, that was tough. That was tough times.
Did Primate change the way you think about creature horror?
No, not really. Primate was just the biggest thing for me. I think with Primate was working with Walter Amada. He's just a pro at that world, of the horror world, and I just learned so much from him. So it was good fun there.
What do audiences underestimate about horror making?
It's hard. Like I get that. Sometimes, with reviews, they're like, can be very sniffy about scripts and stuff. And it's just like, it's a skill to make people scared and jump. And it isn't, you can't just knock these things out. There's many movies knocked out and nobody ever sees them. It really is. It's tricky, and it also takes a lot of love. People don't. I'm always amazed at how people just sort of assume it's just like, a job for money or whatever. And this is love.
Yeah.
It took 15 years to make Primate. So
wow.
Yeah.
Now that it's been out for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And what's the plan going forward for Primate? Possibly work on a sequel, figure out a script.
Yeah, I got to go over next week for the UK premiere. It will be very interesting to see how I think the movie will work internationally. It feels like a movie that will play across, different countries. And I'll see how it's a different world now. Even when Resident Evil came out was COVID, but to the Strangers and 47 movies, there's so much horror now. I mean, this month alone, you've got Bone Temple this week. You've got Send Help. You've got Silent Hill. It's just relentless. And so, it's going to be interesting to see how, Primate finds its life and world amongst a very, very crowded space. And then, I feel that this is a movie that will sooner or later, whether it's theatrically in the domestic market or theatrically in the international, or once it gets to streaming, will find a large audience, or is finding a large audience. So I think that I would be surprised if the discussions, because we've had such fun discussions already, I would be surprised if they don't move forward at some point. But who knows?
Has the horror audience demands changed over the past 10 years? Do they want different style kills? Do they want the kills faster in this film?
It definitely swaps and changes. 47 meters down is a PG-13. This is as hard an R as you could possibly go. So that the gore has become a thing that in the last couple of years audiences have gone back to, and then that will play out for a while. We'll get some fun movies. I'm imagining they'll reboot the Saw franchise and go properly full on with something like that, and then it'll move to a different way again. So it does. It moves. I mean, it's been amazing how long this James Wan has kept the sort of Conjuring world going, because that is a long time, the sort of ghost Conjuring universe.
Big universe.
Yeah. But I do you know what? I was saying to someone that, that an audience is now moving to a slightly different thing, but then the last Conjuring came out and it made more money than any of the other ones. So what the hell do I know? But yeah, I guess, it's like anything. Audiences want the same but different. Once they understand what the scare is going to be, then they want a different way of being scared. Otherwise, they're like, oh yeah, I know that this scare, I've seen it 100 times before.
If you were to direct any sequel of IP, what would it be?
Oh, no idea. An Alien movie, maybe. I'd love to do a Children of the Corn movie.
Ooh.
And they're all terrible, those movies. But I'd love to do a proper one. I'm always like, come on, let's do a Children of the Corn movie. Maybe one day.
One day.
Yeah.
This has been awesome. Thanks so much for coming
by. No worries.
Guys, go see Primate out theaters now in the U.S. and January 29th in the U.K.
30th, I think.
January 30th in the UK.
Yeah.
Go see it. Let's get a second one.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for coming by.
Yeah, no worries.
Awesome.
Cheers.
That was great.
Cheers.
Thank you so much. I hope you guys enjoyed that interview. Today's conversation is brought to you by FanDuel.